Okay, I think we're live here. So currently at the moment we do have some tornado warnings over here in Minnesota and western Wisconsin. Or not western Wisconsin, but just northwestern Minnesota. We do have one tornado warning storm that just actually initiated here, just heading towards Thief River Falls right now. Currently the path of Warren is currently if you're in Warren, definitely take shelter there. Let me just try to do this here. It's been a while since I've done a live coverage stream here. Quite a quiet pattern that we've seen over the last couple of weeks here. We did have a PDS tornado warning kind of around the same area not too long ago. But that was, I think first week of July, just after July 4th. So and just make sure that everything is good to go here. Um, but this storm just initiated not too long ago. I think we might see potentially if this storm over here doesn't get, if it stays far enough away, we could see this storm north. Wait, let me just see this. It's being picky about. Let me just try to set up things. Like I said before, it's been a while since I've done this here. Tropical, storm based. There we go. Perfect. Now it should be. Okay. So we do have a tornado warning here over directly heading towards Warren here. And then we have another one too. Now this is more luckily in more of an isolated spot here over kind of near the Red Lake Indian Reservation here. Kind of just over the Red Lake area. This is kind of, if we go into velocities here, we'll probably be able to relatively be able to see kind of the rotation, and you can see it kind of over here in this area. And then there's also, I believe, a secondary kind of rotation right over there. These storms have actually formed into one over the last probably hour or so. This first one over here near Washkish, or kind of near Upper Red Lake, kind of where you could see that. That one was our first storm. That was the one that got tornado warned, and it looks like the second one looks like they're going to be merging a little bit here. So keep an eye on that, of course. But this one is kind of the more mature storm over here near Warren here. As it's pretty separated from, like, I mean, this storm right here, kind of over here, just on the border of Minnesota. This one is kind of far away from it at the moment, but so, but like I said before, I haven't live streamed in quite a bit, so this is just trying to get everything. But let's see here. There was a little, I think, ping pong sized hail in this storm. Yeah, baseball sized hail possible with this storm. Of course, luckily it's kind of in an isolated location at the moment, but currently at the moment, destructive storm. And it looks like this will move into kind of a tornado, possible severe thunderstorm warning. National Weather Service is still monitoring kind of how this storm could develop over the next couple of, let's say, within like the next hour or two. As it looks like this storm that's kind of on the eastern end over here, this storm right here is kind of merging with the storm ahead of it. So, but this storm right here near Warren is really, it's starting to strengthen quite a bit here. If we look back at velocities, currently it's only radar indicated. But if we see here, we have pretty clear rotation right over there. And of course, right when I do that, it does, it re-updates the scan here. So this is kind of our area of rotation. We have quite a bit of kind of just mess going on, but that's kind of general area just south of Alvarado. And then kind of heading, it looks like it's going to miss Warren to the south just about. But it's still important to take shelter if you're in Warren, just because we do have some $half sized hail with this storm as well here. So, there we go. Let me just make sure everything is working here. Okay, so just keeping an eye on this storm at the moment here. We do have quite a bit going on, kind of with 2 tornado warnings at the moment. Let me turn back on the tornado. Oh gosh, that's not what I want to do. Oh, there are tornado warning, severe thunderstorm warning. Of course, we'll have tornado, severe thunderstorm watch. Hopefully, that didn't just reset everything. But it looks like we're good to go here. So of course this one heading over the Red Lake area is still radar indicated. We do have some baseball sized hail with that storm here. So if you live kind of in the along I believe kind of the state forest here, Black Duck, Northern, Mazpa, Kelleher, Coring, just basically south or near the Red Lake area. We do have some ping pong sized hail, or not ping pong sized hail, some baseball sized hail, very destructive hail over in this general region. So it's very important, not because we do have, or not only because we have tornadic potential with this storm, but also the fact that the baseballs are coming. So just very important to seek shelter either way here. So, but this storm right over here, I feel like looks the most impressive, has more, I believe, more potential than our other one, just because it's relatively by itself at the moment here. Both of our storms here are radar indicated, luckily, so no confirmed tornado on either of them. And then we do have this blob to the south here, or to the north here near Karlstad and Middle River. This one will continue to monitor that. That one looks to be kind of strengthening at the moment. So we'll of course keep an eye on that one. But this one near Red Lake is kind of a mess at the moment. I'll actually highlight kind of the 2 separate storms. This storm, so number 1 here, and then this storm right here, if it didn't cut out there you go. This storm right over here. So we have first storm. This one right here is kind of starting to merge. It's starting to merge with our second storm here. Technically, the numbers are a little off here. The second storm actually formed earlier on and had that original tornado warning. And then this one on kind of the backside, on the more western side, this one actually formed not too long ago. So we'll continue to monitor that. Currently, it's just radar indicated, luckily here, and I believe that's the same for Warren here. That could soon change, especially if we look here at the reflectivity or velocities here. We do have a little bit of some rotation here, or a little bit of a couplet forming just southwest of Warren at the moment. But of course, so if we zoom out here, this whole red shaded area that you see, that is currently in a tornado watch. So that doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that there's tornadoes going on in this tornado watch. Just means that the ingredients for tornadic potential is there tonight. Currently, we do have 2 tornado warnings at the moment, and at least 2 storms. That one is producing some baseball-sized hail. This one, that's the one that we have currently in kind of the Red Lake area. And then this one over here that's heading kind of towards the Thief River Falls area, that one is heading towards, or that one is producing some, I believe, some ping pong sized hail, or at least tennis ball sized hail now. So we did get an upgrade here. So we do have basically some very destructive hail with both of these storms here. So it's definitely very important to seek shelter, especially if you live in Warren at the moment. Right now, they're getting clattered by some hail. And then if we move on to kind of the Red Lake area, we do have 2 storms at the moment that are producing that baseball-sized hail. So very important to either, just because it's radar indicated, the baseball-sized hail and that tornadic potential is there tonight. But yeah, tennis ball sized hail, and then we do have, I believe, it says $half sized hail on the tornado warning, but we do have, once again, tennis ball sized hail on both storms. So still very destructive here, and we do have a little bit of a potential area of interest here, kind of in this on this storm here. You can kind of start to see a little bit of an inflow right there form. So we'll keep an eye on that. It does look a little weird with this kind of outflow or kind of this area over here on the northern edge, but we do have, if we go to velocities, I wouldn't be too surprised if we did see some rotation here, just a little bit. It's still starting to strengthen. I mean, these storms just fired up not too long ago, so we'll keep an eye on those. That is pretty much just east of the Minnesota border here, north of that the storm that we are currently monitoring here. So yeah, Thief River Falls. If you're in Thief River Falls, make sure to seek shelter here as we do have a storm with tennis ball sized hail on the way here. And then also a tornado warning as well here. We do have a little bit of kind of some action going here on the backside. This could actually decrease the potential tornadic potential. We'll have to keep an eye on it, of course, here, but we do have these two kind of just a little bit of a mess going on with this storm here, with this updraft, and then another one over kind of in this area. It's kind of hard to tell where that area of rotation is just because of those two storms merging. So, but this one over here, kind of near the Strandquist area, we'll keep an eye on that as we have a little bit of a hook forming, but and a little bit of rotation with that storm, but it's kind of a mess. If we look at echo tops here, as I see we do have a new tornado or a new severe thunderstorm warning, some very high cloud bases. This one is, if we compare the two actually, so this one, these are basically updrafts, and you can see this kind of redder dot, or it's actually kind of approaching that pink-ish too. Right now, this one up here near between Newfoundland and Karlstad is actually, it's taller. The cloud base is actually taller than this one over near Warren. So we'll have to keep an eye on this storm as it's showing some clear strengthening here. Of course, like I said before, these storms actually developed not too long ago. So let me try to get an update on that severe golf ball sized hail. With this severe thunderstorm warning, it's kind of embedded with this tornado warning here. So if you see that kind of that yellowish region here, that's basically where we have that, I believe it said pink or golf ball sized hail. Yeah, golf ball sized hail with that storm. So we get an update on the velocities here. There's a little bit of action going on. We'll still have to keep an eye on it as it's, this is a very tornadic environment. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. So but currently, severe thunderstorm warning, golf ball sized hail. So some very large hail tonight expected. Let me just try to get, there we go. So we currently have 4 severe thunderstorm warnings here. But this one right here, no tornado possible label, which is pretty interesting there. So, or at least I didn't see any. Yeah, golf ball sized hail. And then we do have tennis ball sized hail on this one heading towards Thief River Falls. There's actually a possibility that Thief River Falls may be experiencing some pea-sized hail at the moment because all of this, so we got kind of the updraft over here, and what happens is all that rain actually travels pretty much to the west here, and you can see here that we have kind of this outflow here, and that's where all that rain travels. And you start to see as we travel more and more away from the updraft region, the precipitation starts to get less. But I've been in storm chasing, like kind of storms where I'm on, like, for example, this road and I'm getting hit by some pea-sized hail or some very small hail. It's not exactly what like the tennis ball sized hail, but it's still, you'll start to see more and more hail as that storm gets closer. So it's currently just four severe thunderstorm warnings, and then we do have two tornado warnings, kind of in a very close proximity to each other. So just keeping an eye on that here, as we do have one near Red Lake at the moment. And then this one, tornado warning, is kind of a messy situation going on. There's two storms pretty much clustered together here. So really the most tornadic potential that I see is probably out of this one near Warren. And even then we do have kind of a backside storm interfering here. This one right here, and then this one is kind of the main storm that's pretty much warned for that ping pong sized hail. So we'll continue to monitor it, but right now, a lot of clustering, especially with this storm over here. You're going to start to see these storms grow and grow, and as they grow, they'll start to kind of cluster together. And I'm not going to say the tornadic potential is going to decrease. I mean, there's that potential there, but in terms of the exact severity, we could see more of a wind threat as we go into kind of the evening hours tonight. But just update on the tornado watch here. It's mostly over northern Minnesota, or at least northwestern Minnesota. The Arrowhead has been kind of excluded from it, um, just because this area right here has the most tornadic potential, and with these first initiating storms. So update on the severe thunderstorm warnings. Kind of just still at that ping pong sized hail. I think we're actually golf ball sized hail on this storm north, or kind of near the Middle River area. And then we do have one that's heading towards Thief River Falls. That one is currently golf ball sized hail. So okay, or tennis ball sized hail with that tornado warning as well. But if we go kind of in the backwards, or here, you can actually see, if we keep an eye on this storm right over here, look at how it kind of connects with our main storm. So we'll have to keep an eye as we go into next couple of minutes here. And then this storm over here near the Red Lake area, still some tennis ball sized hail, and then also that tornado warning as well. So if we look at this storm near Strangquist and Middle River, if we look at least at the velocities, let's see here, or let me go in high res, if it loads. There you go. Let's do that. There you go. I mean, there's a little bit of some broad rotation at the moment, but other than that, just an area to keep an eye on as we go into the evening hours. So, but pretty much just two tornado warnings at the moment here. Warren is getting hit by some pretty big hail at the moment, some golf ball size, or not golf ball, some tennis ball sized hail. Some really large hail tonight, and then also some stronger wind gusts as these storms start to cluster together as we go into kind of like probably the later evening hours when everyone goes to bed. Hopefully, if you are planning on going to bed tonight, which should be everyone, hopefully, um, make sure to have ways of receiving alerts. So, and then we did that tornado warning near Red Lake has expired. So just one tornado warning at the moment here over here near Warren. So we'll keep an eye on both of these storms actually, because I mean, just because there's only one tornado warning, we could potentially see another one on this northern storm near Middle River here. I forgot my water bottle. So yeah. But this one near Warren, it's starting to look a little more interesting. If we look at the echo tops here, kind of see that, yeah, this updraft here, and then another one over here near Warren. This one on the northern edge is kind of that main one. And then this one on the southern edge is the one that's kind of in the process of merging with these two. So, but you kind of start to see some action with the storm just over Warren at the moment here. Some broad rotation. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go into next couple minutes here. But, oh, there we go. This one near Red Lake, still producing some pretty large hail at the moment. That tornado warning did expire, so some golf ball sized hail, and then it looks like so this one on the more western side, the one that we're kind of centered on at the moment, currently warned for some golf ball sized hail, and then this one kind of on the southeastern edge is warned for some tennis ball sized hail. So we'll of course keep an eye on that um, as we go into evening hours here. This one on the northern edge, kind of near the Middle River area, we're continuing to monitor that as we go here. This one near Warren looking a little more interesting. We just have some two storms merging together, so of course I have to keep an eye on that. But right now it's looking like it's relatively staying calm here. If we look back at the velocities here, see that there's some broad rotation kind of along. That's where that green and red is mixing at the moment. So, so there we go. So, but we do still have some pretty big golf ball sized hail with these storms. So, or some tennis ball sized hail actually. I think Thief River Falls. These storms are moving a little slower, but we still have some tennis ball sized hail heading towards the Thief River Falls area. So they might actually be experiencing some smaller hail at the moment here. So we'll keep an eye on this storm and then also this one near Middle River. It's kind of hard to tell if there's an actual like hook forming. What I mean by that is kind of like this right here. It's kind of a weird storm structure here, but that's kind of how I'm seeing the storm at the moment. So maybe a little bit of a hook forming, but if we go to velocities, it's quite. Oh yeah, we definitely have some sort of couplet forming here, just southeast of Stranquist. So we might see a tornado warning issued on this pretty soon. So but it's pretty interesting to see the evolution of these storms here. As you can see, that we have, look at how many storms have actually started to pop up here just between these two severe thunderstorm warnings. So I think that's one of the things that we're going to continue to see tonight is we'll start to see a lot more, a lot more storms develop here and then start to cluster together. Really, storms don't produce that many tornadoes, or at least they struggle to produce tornadoes and very damaging hail when they're pretty much clustered together. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as we go into the evening hours here. But this one near Warren is kind of, yeah, it's the only storm that we have a tornado warning on at the moment here. Still radar indicated, so this one near heading towards like the Middle River area. We'll have to continue to keep our eye on that one as there's a little bit of a couplet forming over the last couple of scans here. We just saw a scan, so see here, just right over here. That's kind of where we're keeping an eye on at the moment. So, and of course, this is all in kind of the northwestern Minnesota. So luckily, it's not as popular. We still have people living here, but luckily this is farther north in the Northlands region, which is unfortunately covered by trees. So if you try to see a tornado out here, it's very difficult due to those tall trees. They're quite beautiful trees, but they block out the view quite a bit. But a late scan just came in here, and we do have kind of this couplet, this kind of boundary here between the red and green here. That's starting to pretty much weaken a little bit. We'll still continue to monitor it, but looks like it might be. I can't tell if that's like another hook forming or another like storm starting to form. It looks over the last couple of scans, it's been kind of disconnected here. If we go over here towards Warren, we do have some areas of rotation here. The main one, or at least kind of the one that we're trying to focus on, maybe that one over here, a little bit of contact between that red and green here, but no really definitive couplet at the moment. And that kind of follows the same path here, but it's kind of a mess at the moment. So but so this storm is still producing some tennis ball sized hail. This storm over here just starting to move into the Black Duck State Forest. So if you live by that region, there's a chance that we could see some tennis ball sized hail. We do have another tornado warning issued for that same area here. Looks like, let me try to get an update on this. So it's the latest one. We do have two tornado warnings basically covering each other at the moment. It looks like the hail risk may have decreased. Just check real quick. Yeah, it looks like they did decrease the threat. So even though there are two tornado warnings at the moment, they're kind of just clustered together. Um, but it looks like they have decreased the threat to golf ball sized hail. And like I was saying before, these two storms clustering together, that kind of decreased that damaging hail threat. There's still golf ball sized hail potentially in this storm here, but the overall threat and the overall severity of this storm has decreased just a little bit. So still take shelter if you're just trying to see. Okay. And they might do the same with the severe thunderstorm warning. It looks like it's starting to really these storms are starting to pretty much cluster together here. If we zoom out, this is pretty much what we're starting to look at here. So we have this storm right here, and then this storm over here, kind of between Warren and Thief River Falls. And then we have this one main storm that was producing a couple of tornado warnings earlier on, and within the last hour or two. And then now we have all of these storms, starting to fill in that space here. What we might see is actually these storms right here, the ones that I've X'd out. These storms over here might actually decrease the overall tornadic and hail threat and may turn this into kind of more of a wind risk. But the environment's still tornadic, but if these storms start to cluster together and become just one big mess, it's that tornadic potential is going to decrease as we go into the overnight hours. So really the main storms that we're looking for are the ones that are producing, or at least by themselves at the moment. Golf ball sized hail with this storm near Middle River. So that one, I mean, has kind of been up and down lately. This one near Warren heading for Thief River Falls, kind of golf ball sized hail to some tennis ball sized hail. So still some considerable damage with that storm here. And then this storm over here near Northern and Kelher and Poma, currently a tornado possible label with that. We actually have some baseball sized hail, potentially a destructive storm over here heading towards kind of the Black Duck, just north of the Black Duck State Forest area. So, but we're starting to see. Oh gosh, let me. There you go. We zoom out here. Starting to see those tornado warnings, or these two storms over here. These ones were the ones that are looking like they had the most potential over the last couple of kind of hours here, or at least the last couple of minutes. They actually formed not too long ago. They've actually rapidly strengthened here. Right now, they're super close to each other. So this one near Warren, Angus, just west of Thief River Falls, maybe merging into a bigger storm here. If we check the velocities here, it's kind of messy here. We do have some broad rotation within this storm. So there may be some wall clouds forming at the moment, but no clear definitive rotation at the moment. But we'll continue to monitor. That's why we have the tornado warning at the moment. Luckily, at the moment, it is radar indicated. So, and then that hail threat, currently golf ball sized. Trying to keep an eye. So, but today has kind of been just one of those days where we do have that potential tornadic threat, but other than that, really just keeping an eye on things here. Let me see kind of. Oh, that's not what I want to do. What if we try to do this? There you go. Okay. And of course I accidentally clicked. So there's a potential for some winds exceeding 80 miles per hour tonight as well. So, but one of the things I notice here is if we look at the shading, or kind of how fast we go from this light gray to this more darker red and yellow mix here, that actually, the length of that is, I would say, around that wide. So kind of that long here. But if we go up here to this storm, look at the dramatic difference here. Now, this is one of the ways that we can tell how strong a thunderstorm is, by that kind of distance here. If the distance is shorter, you can kind of infer that that might be a stronger storm. So, or at least a healthier storm. This one over here near kind of the between Warren and Thief River Falls, Minnesota. This one at the moment, it's looking, I mean, they just had two storms merged together. So it's just not, luckily, doesn't look like, it looks like the tornadic potential is starting to weaken here. If we look here at relative, like the relative rotation or velocity of the storm, so that's kind of where this green and red is mixing. Right now, it's kind of some just broad rotation. So luckily, no definitive rotation at the moment. And I'm happy to say it, but this stream might be shorter than I originally thought. The reason why I say that is because we do have these storms starting to cluster together. You can start to kind of see it here. Like, look at all these storms within one place. I mean, this is probably at least half a dozen storms forming here, as we do have a tornado warning issued here for the town of Middle River, and then kind of the Thief Lake Wildlife Management area here. So if you're in those areas, make sure to take shelter. So currently at the moment, I believe it's just radar indicated here. But if we look at the velocities, I think I just jinxed it too. I was like, it did look like a healthier storm, you know. I just mentioned it was a healthier storm, so that's pretty good there. And then we have been monitoring it for like the last, I would say, it feels like, you know, maybe 5 minutes, but maybe turns out to be 10 minutes here. So just over the East Park Wildlife Management Area, heading straight towards the Middle River Township. So, so we'll continue to keep an eye on that. The one near Warren and River Falls, just south of this storm here, that's another tornado warning here, but luckily that one is starting to look a little more messy. If we compare the two, actually, look at how short kind of that, if we take it from red to like that light grayish, look at the dramatic difference in like distance here, if I can get it. So that one, the one near Mill River, the one that just got issued a tornado warning, look at that. That's a very short distance. That's like the span of probably, I would say, if we were to measure here, that's a span of just, I believe, a mile over there. So in the span of a mile, you're going from pretty much not clear skies, but from really no rain at all to an absolute downpour. While over here, kind of near the Warren and Thief River Falls area, that's the wrong button. That's, I would say, around an average, probably 3 to 4 miles. So really, the closer the gap, the healthier the storm. And we just saw it. I mean, this is a new tornado warning issued. Radar indicated, and then some golf ball sized hail as well. So, but I mean, I wasn't expecting to go live today. It was actually kind of a nice surprise, or not nice surprise, but um, I mean, we haven't gone live in quite a bit. Luckily, we did have a PDS tornado warning kind of in the same area. I forgot where it was. I think it was near, it might have been near the Thief River Falls area, maybe a little south from here, but looks like they did allow that one tornado warning to expire here. But, or at least one of them. This one on the southern edge, kind of near Warren and Thief River Falls, that one will expire in 29 minutes. Looks like they're currently monitoring it. If we look at velocities here, still some broad rotation. It's starting to, if we actually switch to storm relative velocities here, I would say this area is kind of the main interest at the moment, kind of right next to Angus. Because if we look back at the velocities here, or reflectivity, I keep saying velocities and reflectivities, but maybe a little bit of a potential hook. It's very messy, though. Very messy. But this storm just merged not too long ago, so we'll continue to monitor that. This one near Middle River, though, is looking very healthy, though. One of our more healthier storms. So, but we do have this right here. This might be the saving grace. At the moment, that one just fired up not too long ago. So, still, this tornado warning, still radar indicated. But you can start to see that's kind of what we're focusing on at the moment. So, and that's heading straight for the Middle River area, or yeah, Middle River area. So, but we do have a new tornado warning here, just over here near Northern. Oh gosh, went way too wide there. Try to see here. There we go. Okay, this one right here. Let me just zoom out my side. Here. This one, lime sized tail. At the moment here, if we look at the actual storm structure, this is really kind of in a weird location. Right now, this is heading kind of towards out of that tornado watch area here. At the moment, oh gosh, not 23. So just over Northern, and then Kelher, and then Shooks here. So this was actually the original storm. Kind of near the Mizpah area. It's really messy on screen here, but there's a little bit of velocities right there and a little bit right there. I'm not going to draw anything further just to avoid any demonetization here, but you can quite see like very bright velocities here. It is quite, we are quite far away from kind of the radar site here, but you can kind of see that's where that's the point of interest at the moment. But all of our other tornado warnings are currently pretty much radar indicated. So luckily no tornado warning or tornado reports at the moment. If we go back to this storm just over here near Middle River, this one's from the Grand Forks right here, and you can see look at the tiny gap there. Holy smokes. If we actually turn on the smoothing here, look at that. What? There you go. That is pretty much, that's 1,300 yards, which I believe is 3/4 of a mile. So 3/4 of a mile separating a heavy downpour and just nothing, which is absolutely crazy. So this storm near Middle River is very, very healthy, I would say. We still got a little bit of velocity here. What's the time right now? 6:33. So this, oh, there we go. Just got a new velocity. I was about to say when was the last time we got a new velocity scan here, and this is kind of the point of it. Oh gosh. This is kind of that area of interest. If we move a little further down here, we do have now a little bit of more rotation with this near just southeast of Angus. So we'll continue to keep an eye. And you can see a little bit of a hook starting to form here. This storm actually formed or basically merged with another one, or another storm merged with this one. So very interesting to see the evolution of that. And then, of course, this storm over here near, still very isolated region here, but I think really the main area of focus is kind of over here. It's kind of a cluster of storms at the moment, but it looks like they are starting to merge here. I would say probably that one near Keller and then this one near Shooks, potentially. So kind of messy on radar just because we're so far away from it, but that's the area of interest for that. But things are starting to kick off. We do have an observed tornado, and I'm not too surprised because that storm looked very healthy. If this actually loads here, I don't know why it's doing that. Why it's starting to glitch out. There we go. So we do have a observed tornado here near Middle River here. Just start to, there you go. So confirmed tornado here. If we look at velocities, start to see, yeah. This is actually quite a scary situation. Heading straight for the town of Middle River. If we look at correlation coefficient here, luckily no debris ball. This is basically telling kind of what's in the air. And if we were to see like a dark blue dot, that would indicate debris getting kicked up. So, but it has been confirmed by some sort of person. Let me try to see. Let me get an update on that. But either way, we do have an observed tornado warning. Weather spotter confirmed tornado. So if you live in Middle River, I mean, you should have already been taking shelter quite a bit ago. But we do have, so quite a bit of a scary situation going on in northwestern Minnesota here near the town of Middle River here. Looks like luckily this is the only one that has been confirmed today. And one of the difficult things about this region here is you might see that we do have quite a bit of wildlife management areas. So quite a few trees in this general area. So it's very hard to see tornadoes in specific locations pretty much throughout the Northlands region. So hoping we get some rain and lay. No lightning. Am I asking too much? Wait, see where that is at the moment. LA, Minnesota. Just trying to search up where that is at the moment. I believe I've heard of it. Yeah, I mean there is a potential for some, rain tonight. I believe that is in the tornado watch. If I try to go over here. Yeah. Oh, never mind. Just out of it. So there's still the potential for some rain tonight here. Maybe a little bit of embedded thunder here. But I think as we go into the evening hours, it's looking more like a wind threat. So, but we still looks like that tornado warning over near Middle River looks like it's kind of directly over it at the moment. If we take a look at high res velocities here, looks like it's very hard to tell at the moment, but that's kind of where it is at the moment. Kind of in that general location. That's where our rotation is. It has been confirmed by weather spotters. So basically, Skywarn weather spotters have confirmed this tornado here. If we look at correlation coefficient here, this basically tells us what kind of debris is in the air. So usually it should be kind of this pinkish color. Luckily, there's no like blue or black dot. If there was, that would indicate like debris being lofted into the atmosphere by a tornado here. But luckily, if anything, it looked to be potentially a weak tornado, but still one that could do some damage. So, especially with it being so close to a town. And then, of course, quite a few trees up here as well. So, not only is, homes potentially being impacted here, but we do have some trees. Just try to see here. But, yeah. So. Looks like it's still confirmed here. All of our other tornado warnings are radar indicated, luckily. So, this is one, really the only one that's been confirmed. And one of the things I was talking about right before it got confirmed here is pretty much the distance between it, not feeling any rain to an absolute downpour. And it's less than a mile. There was actually a very short distance between the two right before it was confirmed. So I'm not too surprised. I mean, look at how far away it is from these other storms. We are starting to see, I mean, this storm right here was actually strengthening right next to it. This one right here as well. So as we go into kind of the evening hours, one of the reasons why I believe it's going to turn into more of a wind threat is the absolute mess that we have over here in northern Minnesota. So this one over here near, I would say, Angus, right now at the moment there is a little bit of a hook forming, but no clear definitive like rotation. At the moment it's still something that we'll pay attention to. I mean, this storm just merged with another one, so still something to pay attention to. But yeah, if you live in, I think, Eli, there's still, well, there will most likely be rain tonight. Maybe some rumbles of thunder as well, but looks like if I scroll a little bit, looks like it might just be maybe some heavy downpours as well. So it looks like there's actually some rain moving into the region. So, but still observed tornado here, kind of just north of Middle River here. If you take a look at velocities again, it has been kind of a weak rotation, but still confirmed by weather spotters here. This is kind of that general area that we're looking at the moment. So kind of on the western edge here, and still just not like a, unique couplet with this storm. So, but you can kind of see, I mean, just about see something. If you just look, if you stare at it long enough, you can kind of see a hook forming on that storm. But looks like this storm near kind of heading towards the, I believe, which area is this? Big Fork State Forest. So kind of near the Avwood, Norththorn, and Mizpah area. We do have some heavy downpours. It looks like the severe thunderstorm warning has actually expired for them. So we do still have some lime-sized hail possible, kind of within that general region here. But let's take a look at. Let me actually get a better radar view of this. Yeah. I mean, just a little bit of rotation right there. It's kind of hard to tell because, I mean, all of these storms, except for, I mean, this storm especially is pretty far away from the Duluth. I believe this would be the Duluth. Yeah, the Duluth radar here. So that's a good couple miles here. And then it looks like this storm near Thief River Falls, that severe thunderstorm warning has been allowed to expire. So we're starting to see these storms kind of weaken here. This one's actually quite interesting. I think it's just because there's just so much going on with it. It just stopped producing. Or at least stopped producing that hail threat for now. We'll still continue to monitor it. But currently, right now, our severe thunderstorm warnings have gone from pretty much 4 to 2. We actually have more tornado warnings than severe thunderstorm warnings at the moment. So this one near Middle River, it's looking like still a little bit of a cluster going on. I believe it's still confirmed. Yeah, observed. So still observed tornado. Now passing to the east of Middle River, almost out of west. Almost said the west here. And it looks like if you look at the last couple of scans here, I'm not gonna say, I mean, it's, you know, don't think it's quite weakening it just yet. This one, we actually have a new storm here. This one will be interesting. Keep an eye on. This one, just a big giant blob that's formed. You can already see a little bit of hail potentially with that as well. So that one just popped up. We're also seeing that with a couple of storms over here, just between our two severe thunderstorm warnings, kind of within this region there. So just some downpours with these, but luckily because they're just so clustered together, there isn't severe, there really is little to no severe weather with this, except for these storms that if you pay attention or if you look, there's not much going on over here, especially with this storm over here near Thief River Falls. Pretty much the only storms right next to is this one. And I mean, that's a reasonable distance between the two. This one that just got the confirmed tornado not too long ago, that one is still observed. So there was an observed tornado not too long ago with this storm. If we look back at velocities here, it looks like the relative velocities have kind of decreased. But, I mean, it's produced a tornado, so most likely a weak one, as the rotation wasn't very strong, but we'll have to look into that tomorrow. Look into, you know, finding out on Twitter, because most likely, I mean, this is a great day and age of technology here where we have pretty much tornadoes. Like, if a tornado were to be happening in a highly populated region, we do have a new tornado warning. So, currently 4 tornado warnings here at the moment, and I just got cut off of my sentence. So, and like I said before, this storm right here, I mean, I'm doing pretty well at this. Usually I'm on the ground, or storm chasing, so this is kind of cool. So, right now we are looking at that hook echo at the moment. I was saying that, you know, it was looking a little iffy, but we're just saying that nothing much is going, especially like you can actually start to see a little bit of an outflow. Look at that. That's kind of cool. So I have to keep an eye on that. But you can kind of see a hook forming on that storm. So I don't think there's anything absorbed with this. Tennis ball size hail though. So not sure why they dropped the severe thunderstorm warning. I think it's just because of you can just put a tornado warning over most of it, but That includes parts of Thief River Falls, Red Lake Falls, Plummer, and especially Willie. Probably township, pretty small one. So then if we go over here to, looks like that storm is actually strengthened. That might become a pretty big storm as we go for the next couple of minutes here. This one near Northern, kind of becoming messy, to be honest. I can't really tell because it's so far away from the radar site here. But you can see here, I would say kind of the area of interest right over there, kind of over, I'm not sure what road that may be. The, is that Voyager? Voyager Highway? So really, like, look at how messy this is at the moment. That's kind of what we're looking at the moment. And it's just because we're so far away from Duluth or this location, Northern or the area of interest is so far away from the Duluth radar site, it's just so hard to tell. But still observed tornado with this storm here. That was actually a little bit ago here. Right now it's directly east of Middle River. So kind of cool that we did get a storm spotter to report that. Really, it's important to have storm spotters, especially in this general region. Of course, it's very hard to tell where a tornado may be because of the tall trees, but when you get that, even an upgrade to observed tornado warning, that can save lives because then people know that there's an actual tornado ongoing and they won't be like, oh, it's just a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. It's not actually producing a tornado. So even though you're in a tornado warning, doesn't mean if it's not observed, doesn't mean that there's no tornado potential with it. It just means there could be a tornado warning or tornado ongoing with some of these. It's just so hard to tell, especially because of these tall trees. But so it's very important as we do it. We did have that drop down to a severe, or not a severe thunderstorm warning, but tornado, just a general radar indicated storm. So softball sized hail, yeah. So if I look here, that, or tennis ball sized hail, actually. That is with this storm near Thief River Falls, kind of between Red Lake Falls and Thief River Falls. Our main area of rotation here is pretty much within, I would say, kind of that general region here. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that. This storm is actually pretty much by itself. And then an update on the other storms here. Lime-sized hail with this storm over here near Northern and then Avwood and then Croing. I believe Croing is in that other severe thunderstorm warning, some golf ball sized hail. And then we do have this tornado warning that we did see observed tornado warning with this. That's currently quarter sized hail. So the thing about this storm right here, though, is now it's starting to cluster together. We do have quite a bit here. I think this is actually a new severe thunderstorm warning. Yeah, quarter sized hail potentially. I believe this is new. You can see this storm right here, and then this storm right here. So we'll start to see those cluster together. The main one that we're keeping an eye on is definitely this big boy right here, just over Thief River Falls and Red Lake Falls at the moment. So we'll just make sure that I have, yeah, so large hail tonight with these storms that can stay far away from each other. Of course, once they start to cluster together, I think really tonight we'll start to see more of a wind threat for places like the Arrowhead and then also like International Falls. I believe it's already raining over there. Basically, I would say the southern end, if we zoom out here, really the main area of kind of interest here is pretty much on the southern end. That's where we have those storms that are kind of by themselves. At least the southern bit is by themselves. As we do have, if we take it back a bit, look at this. Pay attention to this general region here. Look at how we do have a new storm developing. So that will be interesting. That could actually save or at least reduce a potential tornadic threat. There is still a tornado warning on that storm, but we do have a little bit of a blip forming here. This will most likely strengthen as we go kind of into the evening hours. And that's one of the problems, or at least one of the lucky things about tonight, is that we do have quite a bit few storms forming at the moment, which is pretty much limiting that tornadic threat. So just a lot of clustering of storms. So have a minute for a personal question. Are you a hobbyist, student, training to do this full time? I'm actually, so I'm a student at St. Cloud State at the moment. So actually less than a month, I think just a month away from going back to school. So actually just a sophomore at St. Cloud State. But I've been doing this, I would say, for since December, or at least I've been looking into like weather models and stuff ever since the December of like 2022. So when we had that very big snowfall for parts of or for all of Minnesota and western Wisconsin, I think we saw like 90 inches here in the Twin Cities, and then easily over 100 inches in northern Minnesota. So yeah, I've been doing this for a while here, but just started school last year at St. Cloud State. So unfortunately, not many schools in Minnesota for meteorology. So, so yeah, but we're continuing to monitor this storm. I mean, this storm I feel like has the best chance. The one thing that may decrease the tornadic threat is this blob right here. This blob that oh my gosh, this blob that formed just south of it, that could actually basically could interfere with tornado genesis. So we'll have to keep an eye on this, but this is directly in the path of Willie, Plummer, and then parts of Red Lake Falls. An update on our other tornado warnings here. We do have two other tornado warnings, so it is still quite a bit of an active night, at least here for parts of northern Minnesota here. This one over here near northern here, basically still radar indicated. All our tornado warnings are actually radar indicated. So yeah, I've just been luckily I think I've been doing this for almost 4 years now. So approaching at least 4 years of being really into the weather. I mean, I've been into severe weather ever since I was a kid. I feel like that's a very stereotypical answer there, but yeah, I've been into at least severe weather for a while. It's crazy. I've also last year was really me storm chasing quite a bit. I saw, I believe, how many tornadoes? I think I saw two last year and then one this year. That one near Truman, Minnesota. Reed Timmer was actually on the same storm. Fortunately, never saw him, so I wasn't following him, but I was kind of looking at his general location, or at least looking towards him. But I actually got to the storm really late. They were on the storm for like 1 or 2 hours. I was on another storm um looking at it, and then I see it, the wall cloud, or the tornadic potential of the storm that I was originally on wasn't very good. So I rush over to the storm that has like 100 people on it. I'm like, I just get there in time. 5 minutes later, after I get there, tornado forms. So yeah, and that was my first chase back, and I already saw a tornado. So quite crazy stuff there. So, but I mean, I would say for Minnesota, it's been this year in terms of tornadoes. We haven't seen a lot, luckily, but we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning. So we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning. I believe I'm going to get the right one here. Here we go. Golf ball sized hail for areas like Black Ducks, Langer, Shooks, and Kelleher. And this will actually go into kind of that tornado warning. So, yeah. It's kind of cool because I never watched Twister. I think I was on a vacation, or I was basically just relaxing something. I was like down in Road America, which is basically a racetrack down near Plymouth, Wisconsin, so really far away, or at least near kind of the Fond du Lac, Plymouth area. And I was watching like probably the first hour or two of Twister. I think it's a 2 hour movie, but I know the whole storyline. I just haven't watched it in full. I just saw mostly clips of it. But so the weird thing about tonight is that we actually have 3 severe thunderstorm warnings and 4 tornado warnings. Technically, they're even because we have the two tornado warnings here near Thief River Falls. Those ones are pretty much interconnected, but I'll be right back, guys. I just gotta get water real quick. But so be careful I don't step on my dog. No. So woofda. Okay, I'm back. So woofda. Okay. So ooh, I really needed that. So but if we look here over near the storm, I believe we still have some radar indicated storms. Yeah. Tennis ball sized hail still with that one storm heading towards Red Lake Falls here. That's some pretty big hail. And of course, like I said before, we're going to see that tornado warning be expired there due to the fact that there isn't anything. But luckily, no confirmed tornadoes, or at least no recently confirmed tornadoes. We did have that one near Middle River there. We did it. We actually had it almost directly impact it. So I'll probably talk about it more in tomorrow's video. Hopefully it didn't directly get impacted, but so we currently have three tornado warnings and then I believe two severe thunderstorm warnings. So oh yeah, there we go. So tornado warnings is currently winning over severe thunderstorm warnings at the moment. So but if you are in a severe thunderstorm warning tonight, at least for this one over here, it's quarter-sized hail, luckily, because it's just, I mean, like I said before, we have like this blob or this updraft forming. I think that's another updraft. That one, that one. I mean, we have four like separated by, I wouldn't even say it's probably 3 or 4 miles. So, and then we have another one just north of Middle River. So, a little bit of pouring rain for them. But I think as we go into tonight, that threat for tornadoes is going to steadily decrease. It's not going to be like a snap of a finger, but we'll start to see the at least, overall severity decrease tonight, kind of turn into more of a wind threat, depending on how organized this gets. And I thought that one just expired, but we still have it ongoing. Still radar indicated threat here. I don't know why it's not updating. Come on. There we go. Perfect. So this one's still radar indicated. If we look at velocities here, we'll actually take a look at overall velocities here. You see here, I would say relatively just, I would say northeast of Alwood at the moment. And it's actually getting quite windy out there. My dog's starting to freak out. So, and then this one, I was actually on the corner of my eye, I was paying attention to this one. This one's heading, oh gosh. This one's technically not Minnesota at the moment. But look at it. It's basically by itself. Like, look at that. That's separated by a good, I would say, I'm estimating 10 miles. Let's see. Let's see how far away it is. Ooh, 14 miles. So I was less than that. So that's pretty good. It's 14 miles away from the nearest storm. Maybe two updrafts technically, or two separate, basically storms trying to develop in the same general region. This one near Thief River Falls really looked, in terms of tornadic potential, looked pretty promising, but at the moment, it's starting to look a little messy now. We'll continue to monitor it, of course, but of course, with that one storm pretty much forming to the south of it and merging with it, that kind of, first of all, decreased it. And then this one over here, kind of just west of Thief River Falls. Did we get a new tornado warning, or am I just going crazy? I don't think we got a new tornado warning. Did we? Or is that one? Yeah, that one was already confirmed. Okay, it was like this one up here near Thief Lake Wildlife Management Area. It flashed for a second usually. whenever a warning flashes on my screen, or at least does like a black and red or yellow flash, that means that's a new warning. So it just helps me with in case things get crazy. So this one over here near Swan Lake, Wart, and Max. This one right here, just a broad rotation, I would say. Thing about this storm is it's been honestly ongoing for quite a bit, and it's been staying relatively healthy, but yeah. Of course, this one near Thiefer Falls. Of course, not looking too healthy. This one over here, this one is basically this one is actually the same one that we had that tornado warning on. And it's just starting to get absolute, just confuffled, or a lot of storms starting to form over there. So, and then this storm right here, even though it's west of the Minnesota border, we'll actually keep an eye on this one. I think it's actually two storms potentially. We have this one right here, and then this one. They're coupled together, so we'll see how that goes. But right now, I believe that's some ping pong sized hail. So, and then of course, only 3 tornado warnings at the moment, which is still quite a bit. That's actually, I don't know if that's the most we've seen this year, at least from one of my live streams. So, tennis ball sized hail, still with this storm. Radar indicated threat. It's kind of interesting seeing where we're going tonight in terms of overall severity. I'm just going to look here at kind of what we could be seeing over the next couple of minutes here. Just going to keep it on. Ah, oh gosh. Yeah, right. There we go. Is this going to help with the fires? I think, well, let me check. I don't believe. We could definitely see some rain for the Boundary Waters area. I think the fires are still going on. I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised. Some meteorologists were even saying that it was gonna be going on until the first snowfall, which is quite depressing, but yeah. So I would say, I mean, it could help if we do have. I mean, the thing about severe thunderstorm warnings is we do have a pretty dramatic decrease in severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings here. Yeah, I think I wouldn't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that, but um, I mean, just because of how isolated these fires are from like civilization, it's just some of these fires I wouldn't be too surprised if they were going on for the next couple weeks. But the problem with these localized, severe thunderstorm warnings is they produce a lot of rain, like a lot of rain. However, it's only over like a short time period. So, if we get like a huge round of showers, like a widespread torrential rain, which usually doesn't happen, we could see maybe just a quick, definitely a help to the fires, but overall, I think I'm only seeing basically the rain is kind of, you guys won't be able to see it as much here, but on my other screen, I actually have kind of the overall radar picture, and it's pretty much anywhere south of this line is rain, or at least any type of rain. Anywhere north of it is it's kind of just no rain at all. So, unfortunately, where that main fire is currently no rain at all at the moment. But We do have a tornado possible label on this new severe thunderstorm warning, some golf ball sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. So keep an eye on that. Now, not enough to extinguish it. Well, it's kind of like, heavy downpours may sound like a really good thing, but severe thunderstorms usually it's a short duration, like it's only like 30 minutes to an hour. Of course, we do have scenarios throughout the summertime, especially up here, where we do have flash flooding, where we have, trailing severe thunderstorms or at least trailing torrential rain, where you have thunderstorm after thunderstorm and they don't move as fast. So those could help. Unfortunately, tonight it looks like it's most likely going to be staying kind of between just south of the Canadian border. We could maybe see some showers up there, but in terms of torrential downpours, really these are the only ones at the moment. I mean, we do have some kind of over here near Badit and Rosion. So some, these blips here over like a certain period, they're only going to last maybe 30 minutes to an hour, which will probably produce maybe like an inch or two, which, it's going to help the fires, or it's going to help extinguish the fires. But it's not, most of the time, it's not actually going to completely resolve it. So we'll keep an eye on that. So there we go. So so currently just some torrential rain down there or up there. Over here, just tornado possible label. We do have that tornado warning here, radar indicated threat. We look at velocities once again here. Really the main area of interest is basically between Avwood and Vert. So keep an eye on that. And then this one over here is still tennis ball sized hail between Thief River Falls and Red Lake Falls here. Really, let's look. High res velocities here. Really, no definitive rotation at the moment. So, but it's starting to get a little messy. Yeah, as we go in kind of the evening hours, this one's actually starting to move out of that tornado watch area, kind of towards the Hibbing, Grand Rapids area. So this will continue to, basically, all of these storms will continue to push east here. But, and then this storm over here, just west of Grand Fork, this will be interesting because we have basically these two storms that have decided to start right next to each other. So it'll be interesting to see how these develop over the next hour or two. We could see some potential tornadic stuff going on over there, especially if they start to separate, which it looks like if we kind of look in the past here, go over, yeah, it looks like they're separating. So not a good thing in terms of potential tornado genesis. And we do have another tornado warning issued for that. So radar indicated threat here, some golf ball sized hail for Inger, Bowstring, and then Marcel. So that is 3 tornado warnings at the moment. And I believe, no, okay. I was like, so let's see here. Yeah, golf ball sized hail, I believe is the biggest threat that we have at the moment, except for this one over between Thief River Falls and Red Lake Falls. That one is currently tennis ball sized hail. So quite a bit of hail from that storm. Let me actually see the There you go. A little bit easier on the eye. So, and then yeah, you can kind of see the storm like warnings flash, and it's kind of throwing me off. But there you go. If we look here at high res velocities here, just over here, that's kind of where we're looking at in terms of that tornado warning, and it looks like the older one has expired, so they were just updating it. Oh, there we go. But and I believe tomorrow's threat is going to be kind of over the Twin Cities region actually, and then parts of eastern Minnesota and then western Wisconsin. So if you live in those regions, I'll be talking more about that tomorrow morning here with my, I believe, longer video and then also a short video, like YouTube short. And then all of my I think I'm like on almost every single social media platform now. So Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, did I say Instagram? LinkedIn, and then I think that's pretty much it. So almost every social media platform. So just trying to give you guys or giving everyone updates about potential severe weather. And then as we go, unfortunately, into winter here, which is looking like a below average winter in terms of snowfall, luckily. So if you hate snow, or at least despise it, you'll most likely be happy this year. So as we're going into the super El Nino, which is basically, it's not like we're all gonna die. It's basically what it means is there's like a area of water that we continue to monitor just off the coast of, I believe it's like Peru, Chile area, just off the coast of Western South America there. And basically the temperature of that water like really affects what kind of jet stream we get. And depending on that jet stream really depends on, will it be a warmer than average winter or below average winter in terms of temperature. So golf ball sized hail with that storm heading towards Max and Marcel. There is also the potential for tornado in that storm here. If we look at velocities here, a little bit of broad rotation over there. Still something to pay attention to. And then this one near Thief River Falls, I wouldn't be too surprised if it was allowed to expire. I just don't really see it. Just some very, disorganized rotation here. I mean, if anything, if we go back to the reflectivity here, I actually gotta let me smooth it out real quick. There you go. I mean, there's this weird looking hook, but apart from that, just, trying to. So I think this one near Red Lake Falls and Thief River Falls, I mean, it did have a promising, like, potential tornado genesis. But right now it's starting to become a little disorganized. So, but the main storm that I'm worried about is probably this one actually. It doesn't look, I mean, like I said before, clustering of storms is not the greatest thing, but if we take a look back at the past here, look at how these storms separate, or these two storms separate. That's going to be interesting over the next hour or two. So, we'll keep an eye on that, but that could be another storm that we watch over the next hour or two, potentially, if the live stream goes on for that long. I'm surprised. What time is it right now? 7:18. So yeah, it's still late, or it's getting into the evening hours here. So unfortunately, daytime is starting to, you know, unfortunately, sunlight's starting to decrease as we go into the nighttime hours. So El Nino, I think that's Spanish for the Nino. Yeah, I don't know why they chose El Nino and La Nina. It's kind of interesting, but a La Nina winter is actually for us, for the Minnesota and western Wisconsin region, is usually cooler than average temperatures and above average precipitation in aka snowfall. So The last one that we really had was, I believe, 2022 and 2023, where the Twin Cities, I believe, saw around 90 inches of snow. And then here in northern Minnesota, while we're talking about severe weather up here, they got about around, I think, over 100 inches of snow. I would say definitely in Duluth, as they have that lake effect snow, but that was really the last winter that was above average, I think. Um, Last winter was pretty much. Oh, how was last winter? I believe it was pretty much on average. It was kind of just around that average mark, at least here for the Twin Cities. I think up here in northern Minnesota, or at least northwestern Minnesota, it was actually below average. So kind of weird. But okay, we do have some activity here. This is interesting. Let me make sure that that's not. So this right here, and I think we're on the right radar site here. This looks interesting. I wouldn't be too surprised if National Weather Service of Duluth was looking at this, because that's a really interesting couplet right there. Wouldn't be too surprised if at least there's a tornado starting to form right here. If we look at coefficient here, right here, don't get that confused. That's a huge ball of blue. That just means that there's a lot of hail right there. If we were to see like a dark blue slash black dot, then that would indicate that we are seeing quite a bit of like just tornado lofting debris. So I remember when we used to think that was 7 year cycle. I don't think that's the current model. I mean, it really depends. It really depends. It's kind of hard to say. It's like really depends on the mood of those waters. But at least for right now, it's looking like we're definitely going to experience a super El Nino. Update on this storm. Like I said before, this will probably be allowed to expire, or at least the tornado warning is going to be allowed to expire. And then we're going to see some golf ball sized hail possible for Brooks, Gars, Oakley, Trail, Gully, Foston, McIntosh, and then potentially even Govic and Clearbrook in the future. So, but we're keeping an eye on this tornado warning here, as I know we are quite far away from the radar site, but we do have some pretty definitive rotation just north of Max, or just between Max and Wart. So because you know, basically, as a meteorologist or as someone, if you work in the National Weather Service, you're kind of looking for these where the red and green connects, and storm chasers too. They're kind of looking for this, and if you see that, that indicates some rotation. So there's definitely some rotation going on in this general region. It might be weakening right now, but if we take it back a little bit ago here, I mean, it's been broad rotation, and as we go kind of in the future here, you can start to see this is, I believe, when I pointed it out right there. And then as we go in the future, it's starting to. I mean, the rotation's still there, but it's a little broader now. But we'll keep an eye on it. Luckily, it's not as like dense over here. This is around the Sand Lake area, so quite a. I mean, we've been saying it constantly this stream. It's just a lot of trees up here. So let's look at this storm over here. Some golf ball sized hail for a pretty at least wide region. See over here. Let me try to get. Why am I trying to do that? There we go. There we go. So, oh geez, yeah, this storm is just not. Oh, I mean, look at that. Look at the distance between a torrential rain, which is right over here, that dark purple, and just clear. So basically, that light gray indicates like just tiny bits of rain. So we do have a. Oh gosh, We do have a hook once again forming. I feel like this storm has just been, it's been, I don't know what it's been doing for the last couple of minutes here. It's just been deciding if it wants to go through tornado genesis or trying to produce a tornado or not right now. The one thing that I am interested, or one thing I'm curious about is this distance between torrential rain and basically nothing. Usually we saw that actually earlier on, just maybe 30 minutes to an hour ago, with that storm near Middle Lake, where we saw the same thing, where the distance between torrential rain and no rain at all was pretty much less than a mile. This same thing here, and we do have a little bit of a hook forming. Let me keep an eye on the other storm. Tornado possible with that? Let me see here. Yeah, okay. So still radar indicated for both threats here. And yeah, like I said before, some broad rotation going on over there near the Red Lake River, or at least near Red Lake Falls, just north of there. That's kind of where we're paying attention to at the moment. So, and you see here, interesting, very interesting here. Look at the distance. So that's crazy. So if you're like, it must be crazy looking from like, for example, if you go on County Road 1 here and you're standing right here, if you go a little bit to the east, it's just torrential rain. So very interesting stuff. Is that flagged automatically these days? The El Nino and La Nina? Yeah, I think pretty much it's what it does is there's like buoys out in the, did I say Pacific Ocean? I think I said the Pacific Ocean, which is correct. There's basically buoys in the Pacific Ocean that monitor ocean temperatures. And depending on that, there's a bunch of models that forecast where these, where in regards to the water temp, how will that affect? Will we for sure see El Nino or will we for sure see a La Nina? So, I mean, with the increase in like artificial intelligence, models have been relatively, oh, the red and green on radar. So what happens here is basically, yeah, it's kind of automated. Yeah. So basically, there's radar beams, and what those radar beams do is they pretty much measure where the rain is traveling. So if it's traveling away from the radar, it's a certain color. I forgot which one it is. I should be knowing this, but it's a specific color if it's traveling away from the radar or traveling, towards the radar. So, and then when you get a convergence, this isn't a very good example, but when you get convergence, basically that's where there's potential rotation. So, for example, if there was red over here and then green over here, I don't want to draw any more lines, but basically where those two connect, where the red and green connect, that's where you have that rotation. Luckily, right now, kind of near the Red Lake Falls area, it's pretty much broad rotation at the moment. Except for this, I mean, really, the trend of tonight has been pretty much some very, small rotation on the radar. So, two severe thunderstorm warnings at the moment, and then two tornado warnings here in Minnesota and western, or here in northern Minnesota. Luckily, western Wisconsin should stay relatively dry tonight. And then over here, golf ball sized hail still on this storm. If we look at this, it looks like this is actually weakening quite a bit. Or at least the rotation has been... Oh, never mind. Okay, it's keeping up. It's keeping up right now. If you live in like Inger, Bowstring, and Marcel, I would pay attention to this. As, I mean, it's been trying for a while. This storm has been going on for like... What time is it? It's like 7:30 right now. This storm has been going on for, I think, the last 2 or 3 hours. So basically, it started up here near. Where did it start? Like Thief River Falls, I believe. So, and now it's all the way pretty much traveling towards. Where was that? Hibbing. Yeah, it's traveling towards Hibbing. and the Grand Rapids area. So yeah, all of the stuff that you're seeing on like my screen right now is pretty much automated by radar. It's so basically it measures certain types of precipitation, like how, thick is the precipitation. That's how it measures kind of if it's torrential rain or just no rain at all. So it measures that, and then I don't know how to describe it. Wait, let me get my drawing tools out. So for example, let me actually go back to velocities here. Let me try to explain it. So the radar site is, let's say right here, the sun. So that's our radar site. So as it sends out beams, invisible beams. These beams do not affect, they don't give you headaches, by the way. For some people that used to believe that, it doesn't give you headaches. Radar doesn't. So basically, it sends a beam out, and then when it makes contact with, for example, a rain droplet, it actually reflects back to the radar site, and that's transformed into data. And this is basically what you're seeing right now. So this torrential rain, it's basically getting the radar is sending invisible radar beams or invisible beams to this general location or all around pretty much in a clock area. And once it hits some sort of precipitation, it bounces back. And depending on how, heavy that precipitation is, it basically turns into either no rain or torrential rain. So it looks like they did expire that or expire that tornado warning here near Red Lake Falls and Thief River Falls. And one of the reasons for that is it's just becoming a cluster right now. And if we look back here over near the Grand Forks area, look at how many storms have developed over the last couple of minutes. Look at especially up here near parts of Arglay, Alvarado, also, and Warren and Arglay, maybe? Or did I? I already said that, but just pay attention to those areas right there. Look at how many storms have formed. So I think the trend tonight is we're just going to see less and less. So there you go. So I figured radar was drawing it. I was more thinking of identifying where the warnings are, but gotta head out. Red is away, or red is away, green is towards. Make sure they know that because it makes a big difference between a convergence signature or divergence. So very important on where you have those colors. So yeah. So it's just right now we're starting to see a lot more of a mess starting to form here. And that's a good thing. That's a great thing if you live up here in northwestern Minnesota in terms of once we start to see these clusterings of storms, less less tornadic potential here, and then that wind threat tonight might actually increase as we start to see potentially some more organization from these storms starting to form into more of a discrete, more discrete supercells into kind of a linear mode. So basically, currently right now, let me actually fast forward it here. There we go. I was like, what's wrong with the radar? There we go. So right now we have, what the heck happened here? Go back. There we go. Okay. So basically we have, these small storms right here, this one right here, this one right here. So like, half a dozen to a dozen storms at the moment. And what will kind of happen, potentially happen tonight, is we'll start to see these storms, grow and grow, or we'll start to see these gaps between these storms start to fill up more and more, and that could potentially produce kind of more of a linear mode of storms. So potentially more of a wind threat. And that's actually, we do have SIG 1 or kind of the potential for some 80-mile-per-hour winds with this tornado watch. So, but right now, what we saw earlier on with today or this afternoon and evening was more of a large hail, a very large hail right here. I believe if we look back at Red Lake Falls here, it has downgraded to golf ball sized hail, but it originally was, I believe, tennis ball sized hail. So, so yeah, but as we go into kind of the evening hours, of course, that threat will decrease. And it looks like, oh, it was just flat. I thought it was going away there. That tornado warning will basically expire within the next like 26 minutes. So keep an eye on that. If we look back at velocities here, at the moment, you know, a little bit of convergence at the moment, but other than that, not too bad. So a little bit of broad rotation. All right, I'm back. So a little bit of broad rotation. This is the only tornado warning that we have kind of in northern Minnesota at the moment here. And we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning for parts of northwestern Minnesota. There you go. Let's go over there real quick. Tennis ball sized hail. So it has returned once again here. This is actually looking quite familiar. Here we go. Go back. So we actually have two storms. Basically, we got this one over here. We have this one over here near Argray, and then this one kind of just east off of Bigwood. So it's going to be interesting to see what these two storms do. But really, right now, we do have some tennis ball sized hail, which is still take shelter for that if you live in places like Fodal, Newfoundland, Holt, and Viking. So, because that tennis ball sized hail not only can do damage to your cars, but also to you. Any type of hail really over a quarter sized hail is not something to be outside for. So this one over near Plummer, this one I believe is producing some golf ball sized hail and then 60-mile-per-hour wind. So really the winds have, or the damaging wind aspect has really stayed around that 60-mile-per-hour range. So I mean, it's still damaging, but luckily has kept quite low for tonight. Just that hail threat has been quite significant. And then, of course, that tornadic threat as well. We did see an observed tornado by Skywarn spotters not too long ago. So, there you go. And as we go into this, just a little bit of broad rotation. So, that's currently why we have that tornado warning here over here for parts of Bowstring and Marcel. So make sure take shelter if you're in those regions here. Ping pong sized hail as well. So pretty beefy storm too. It's been going on, like I said before, it's been going on for a while. Try to, there we go. And then if we go up here to kind of this is kind of where all the action is, at least in terms of the big hail over here just north of Warren there. But we do have not only two storms right next to each other. So this storm right here, and then this storm right here, but also this storm starting to form here just on the border of Minnesota. So three storms. Actually, I think there's a fourth one right there too. So we have four storms trying to form in a line here. That's just, in terms of that hail threat, will actually decrease it quite a bit. So, but still, just one tornado warning, luckily, tonight here. And that's heading for kind of that Grand Rapids and Hibbing area. At least right now, I mean, we could start to see the severe thunderstorm kind of go towards that region here. But in terms of that tornadic threat here, I believe, I think we went, yeah, just a little bit of couplet right there. So, especially right over there too. So I believe it's still radar indicated, but it's just so hard to tell, just because of how many lakes and trees are in this region here. It's just hard to. You never want to chase. You never want to storm chase in this region just because of how many trees are here, and you won't be able to see a tornado, and you might actually lose reception as well. So it's just double trouble if you go up here to storm chase here. It's very dangerous. So. But things are starting to relatively slow down. The last time I said that, we got like observed tornado. So I don't want to jinx it, but just do some. Oh gosh, there we go. So we've been going on for an hour and 45 minutes now. So just crazy stuff. Tennis ball sized hail still with this storm north of Warren here. It looks like it's looking like a mess now. You got, this may look like one storm, but you actually have this storm right here, this storm right here, this storm right here. I'm pretty sure that's another storm trying to form. So we have four storms pretty much interconnected at the moment, or at least if we rewind it here. Rewind time. I think that's actually, maybe another storm. So maybe five storms in the same location, but still tennis ball sized hail. I don't think that's, let's see here. I think it's still radar indicated in terms of that tennis ball sized hail. If it even loads, goodness me. There you go. Radar indicated, yeah. So, but doesn't mean that's not ongoing. It just means that there's no confirmed report. Luckily, no one's going out to report tennis ball sized hail. Even that can shatter your windows. So if you're gonna be reporting hail, I would, be very safe about it. Very safe. I wouldn't even try to report tennis ball sized hail. I would just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna stay indoors for now. I would rather stay inside. So, in terms of this tornado warning, this is the only one that we have at the moment. And right now, if we go back, rewind it a little bit, see here that, it's just been broad rotation over the last couple of minutes here. And it actually might be weakening at the moment because not only did this one, the high res velocity version, decrease kind of it or broaden out its rotation, but also this one, the high res storm relative velocity. I like to get a mix of these both, and you can see that's just. So I believe, if I don't want to jinx it, I think after this one expires, I'm pretty sure that's probably gonna be the end of the stream. But keep an eye. See what happens. Because this has been, I feel like, a good return. At least, I don't know when the last time I live streamed. Of course, I was on vacation when that PDS tornado warning, which, if you don't know what that is basically particularly dangerous situation, tornado warning. And those don't usually get issued for here in Minnesota. So that was actually issued not too far away from here. I believe the first week of July. So if you're ever in one of those, I mean, take shelter for sure. And that's when, you should find like any lowest floor of your house, farthest away from outdoor walls. So if you live in a trailer home, if you do live in a trailer park or trailer home, have some alternative shelter because trailer homes are horrible at protecting people from tornadoes because they're not built on any really foundation. They're basically a trailer. Um, they're on a bunch of wheels. So once the wind gets underneath that trailer, just think of it as a semi trailer. basically once that wind gets underneath it, it's just gonna flip it, and it's just horrible what some tornadoes have done to trailer parks. So over here in, it looks like we're starting to see some impacts in Marcel and Bowstring here. Some very strong downpours here. I believe that ping pong sized hail now. So I think it was golf ball sized hail not too long ago. And really all of these storms at one point were warned for tennis ball sized hail. So pretty sure we're updated. Ah, come on. I mean, especially over here, like, look at this. This isn't one big storm. I mean, this is multiple storms that have started within pretty much one location. So I think really the hail threat, I wouldn't be too surprised if it decreased. Let's see here. Tennis ball sized hail still. But as they just cluster more and more together, we'll start to see that decrease. Well, it will start to turn more from a hail threat to an um, eventual wind threat. And we do have some golf ball sized hail with this storm. Jeez Louises, these storms are like just about clustering together. It's kind of hard to tell where this storm. So this storm that just got severe thunderstorm warned here is currently heading towards Washkish and then Shotley. And in terms of forest, because I feel like any place that I report on at least has a state forest in it. Red Lake State Forest and then Red Lake WMA. So currently severe thunderstorm warning with that storm. I believe it was golf ball sized hail. Yeah, golf ball sized hail. And then I believe 60-mile-per-hour winds. So there we go. So yeah, probably once this severe thunderstorm warning or this tornado warning expires down here in kind of the Grand Rapids Hibbing area, or more specifically Marcel and Bowstring, I think that's when I'll probably end off the stream. But look at the distance between torrential rain and light rain here. Let's see here. What's the distance? 1.5 miles. That doesn't beat the record of tonight, though. I think the record tonight was like 1,200 miles, or not 1,200 miles, 1,200 yards, which I believe is like 3/4 of a mile. And that was recorded, I believe, right before that observed tornado near Middle Lake, like an hour ago. So, but if I were to guess, I don't want to jinx it, but this might be the last tornado warning. Yeah, I don't want to jinx it. Never mind. I'm gonna stop saying what I was about to say. But just looking at how many storms there are in one, general location, like I'm not a good counter, but if we count how many storms are in this one, like individual storms, like individual, as we like to call them, updrafts, at least a dozen, I feel like. So if we're going off of that, there's so many storms. And they're really close together. So, I mean, there's some storms that are showing off a little bit. I mean, this storm over here near just north of Middle River, or yeah, I said Middle Lake. It's actually Middle River is where that confirmed tornado was. That storm is kind of by itself, but you can already start to see. Look at that little blip form right off to the edge of it. So, but let's see here. So it looks like this tornado warning will be allowed to expire in 12 minutes. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with this. It looks like this might actually turn more into a wind threat. Ping pong sized hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and then tornado possible label on that as well. If we take a look back at velocities here, not very definitive. I mean, very not. I mean, there's no true couplet, so no clear contact of the red and green. Of course, you have like itty bitty parts contacting, but usually you're looking for kind of like a square shape. So if you split a square in half, one side should be red, one side should be green. That's kind of what a couplet is. So, but right now it's kind of messy. So, not the soccer player. Okay, update on at least the hail. Golf ball sized hail. I think we already reported that. Or at least reported on that. And that's near Upper Red Lake. This one near Red Lake Falls, or at least over Oakley, is getting hit by some golf ball sized hail. So, and then this one near Bodal, Argley, Warren, Viking, Holt, Thiefer Falls currently has still some tennis ball sized hail. So quite considerable. Or what is it? Yeah, considerable damage possible with that. But I don't want to jinx it, but I think this will probably be the end of the stream. And it just flashed out too. That's crazy. So, because I think they're letting this tornado warning, they're allowing this to expire here. Yeah, because I mean, on the high res relative velocity, no clear rotation. High res velocity, I feel like has been because we are kind of farther away from the radar site. I mean, it's been showing like little glimpses of potential couplets, but even then, it's very just now it's weak and now it's starting to weaken quite a bit over like the last couple of scans here. You can start to see that it's actually starting to form, like I mentioned before, a little bit of a linear shape. So, if you live pretty much along kind of this southern edge of it, you might be like, "Oh, it's such a calm day, maybe a little cloudy. I can see some like gray in the distance. It looks like it's downpouring in the distance." That's where we'll probably see a little bit of like, quite strong winds from there. At least some 60-mile-per-hour winds, I believe, possible with that, and some ping pong sized hail near places like Bowstring and Marcel. So quite a few lakes, too. But I think tennis ball sized hail is still possible with that storm. And I think which storm, I believe it was this storm. I'm trying to remember which storm was it that I mentioned. I think it was like one of these storms that developed just west of Grand Forks. And that storm, I was like, oh, maybe this storm will be like one that could be concerning over the next hour or two. And it just, I mean, so many storms formed within one location that just, died off. This one near Washkish kind of surprised me. I mean, it's kind of clustered together. Not a lot of space between, but it's still producing some golf ball sized hail. So if you live kind of within that Washkish, Shotley, or the Red Lake State Forest, or the upper Red Lake, some ping pong or some golf ball sized hail possible with that. So, and then of course this tornado warning, I think officially 8 minutes ago. Usually if they were gonna issue a tornado or a new tornado warning, they would have like 20 minutes ago probably for places. I was about to say for places like nothing. There's literally no townships over here. I mean, we have Deer Lake down here, but that's pretty much it. So, but still some strong winds. So I think as we go into tonight, we'll start to see that wind threat take over that hail and tornadic threat, especially a tornadic threat. Looks like the hail threat is still keeping up quite a bit. So I believe it's almost 8 o'clock now. So crazy stuff. But in terms of tomorrow's threat, we'll talk about that actually. Let me make sure that the stream is going all right with me opening another tab here. So, wait, let me do this. Yeah, there we go. Actually, let me zoom it out a little bit. Oh, actually, wait. You guys might be wondering what the heck I'm doing. Well, I'll show you pretty soon. Select state. No, we'll do national. Perfect. Absolutely love this. Ooh, okay. This is something to talk about. So I'll zoom it in. we'll just do a little bit of sneak peek into tomorrow's video while I'll probably be reporting. And then I will save some spoilers for Sunday for tomorrow. So if you want to learn more about tomorrow's or Sunday's threat, I'll leave that for tomorrow. I think that will pretty much end it off because usually I only report tornadic coverage, and I think tonight has been pretty successful. The stream has been going well. Um, you guys have been interactive, so it's been kind of nice. So let's do this. Is it display capture? I don't know if that's right. Oh, I think it is. Here we go. Perfect. So, oh, that's not where I wanted. Nope, go back. Okay, so tomorrow's threat. Now, this green shade or this dark green shaded region here is encompassing most of eastern Minnesota and almost all of west or all of Wisconsin here. More specifically, in our region here, all of western Wisconsin. And then in terms of a tornadic threat here, it's pretty much over that same general region, parts of eastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. Isolated tornado or two might be possible. And really with, this morning here, I believe it was an isolated tornado threat and then it was increased to potentially a couple tornadoes possible. So could we see the same thing tomorrow? I think really tomorrow is more of a conditional threat, so not as like widespread as tonight. But we'll of course have to keep an eye on models and of course what happens, into tomorrow morning here. In terms of a wind threat, it's more of a general, 5% risk. So of course, keeping it on the low end. This is basically the lowest they can go in terms of a wind risk here. And then another interesting thing is the potential. It's kind of cool how they actually outlined or hatched this whole region here with the potential for some lime-sized hail possible. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go into tomorrow, but I think that will pretty much end off the video here, or end off the live stream. I shouldn't say video, but pretty long live stream. I think, oh gosh, what was the final count? 2 hours and 2 minutes, so just over 2 hours of me reporting. It's not the longest I've gone reporting. I think the longest I've gone is like 3-4 hours. So, and my voice is already killing me, and we have potentially even 2 more days of this. So, hopefully tomorrow stays quite conditional for most of the region, and that actually includes some of the Twin Cities, as I think all of Twin Cities. So let's go back, see what how this tornado warning is doing. I think we could count it down maybe. Was it 4? No, we're not going to count it down. 4 minutes to go, but it's pretty much, it's over. It's over for this tornado warning here. So turning more into a straight line wind threat. So this one near Thief River Falls, still tennis ball sized hail with that. That's pretty impressive. You see it's pretty much a long line of storms. We could potentially see flash flooding risk with this. Potentially, if this stays in the same place for a while. So I think, do we have a flash flood warning? Let's see. Or a flash flood. I turned it on out, or I turned it off accidentally. So potentially? Nope. Apparently not. So, but some potential isolated flooding over in this region here. But I think all of northern Minnesota really needed the rain. So good thing we got the rain tonight, at least for northern Minnesota. And then tomorrow looking like more of a conditional threat for parts of eastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin in regards to potential severe weather. And then I believe Sunday is pretty much the same ordeal. However, it's looking like we'll see a little bit more storm coverage, or at least more storms across most of Minnesota and actually western Wisconsin. So I'll talk more about it into tomorrow or in tomorrow's video. My voice is starting to quit on me. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the live stream. I'm glad to jump in and provide you guys with some updates, especially with, I believe we had 4 tornado warnings at once at one point. So I wasn't really expecting that waking up today. I was like, oh, today's just going to be, maybe just watching on the storms here. But actually quite a few. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. and good night. I'll see you guys potentially tomorrow, but it's looking like most likely potentially Tuesday or Sunday, not Tuesday. So I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Stay safe. Enjoy the rain if you live in northern Minnesota. And stay safe. Make sure to have weather alerts active